What's going on, family? Let's talk about the fear I had of losing myself in love and romantic situations. I'm Eleanor, and this is Dismissible Me, where I break down dismissive avoidant attachment from the inside out. I didn't have a fear of love itself. I wouldn't say that. I would say I had a fear of the consequences of being in love or the consequences of being in a relationship. What I'd have to give up to keep it. So, in talking about, you know, losing myself or the fear of losing myself, to me, being in a relationship meant being erased. It meant that your needs would eclipse mine, that at some point my needs, regardless of what they actually are, would be eclipsed by your needs, your feelings, your need for time, your need for me to be more emotionally available, your need for me to be more vulnerable to match you where you're at. And I hate the idea of having to sacrifice all of me to create this new situation with someone else. I also have this fear of my autonomy being compromised. And that's kind of been a theme throughout the week, not just on this channel, but even on my second one. Link is down below. Again, like, share, subscribe. But my autonomy being compromised is one of my number one fears. My ability to be myself. My ability to keep and maintain my routines while also growing and building this relationship with someone is a major concern of mine. I don't want to be one of these people that when I'm in a relationship with somebody, that's all that I do, that's all that I think about, that's my entire existence. Because what happens is when you make somebody your everything, and on the off chance that it doesn't work out, okay, because I'm not a married person, I can't be falling apart and lose my identity because this person decided they don't like me anymore. That, to me, when I experienced that growing up, or the idea of that, or to hear somebody say that this person is their happiness, was absolutely unhinged. And even now, in my current age, which is many years later, it is still an unhinged idea to me to make someone your everything. I just can't do it. So, my autonomy being compromised is a major fear that goes into the fear of losing myself in a relationship. And again, my identity being entangled with theirs. And that's not just from the standpoint of, it's not just making that person my everything and the fear of it not working out. It's also, you never know when the other shoe's going to drop. It's also that mentality, because you really don't know what somebody is doing. You really don't know what somebody's doing when you're not around them. All you can do is trust that this person is the same person around you as they are around everybody else when you are not looking. Like, this is another reason being entangled with their reputation and their identity and what they have going on is a major reason why I don't tell people, I don't give names, you got a nickname, you don't really exist, or I don't bring you up at all. That being entangled with somebody else's reputation is another reason why I am very careful about dating people with children. And when I say being careful about that is people that have children under a certain age, I'm not really interested in. If your child is not an adult, I'm not really interested in that. And here's the thing, because I want you to be the best father you can possibly be, and that means your child has to come first. And I need me to be first. And if I come first and you have a child, that may mean that you're being a deadbeat. Actually, as a matter of fact, let me just cut right to it. If you're going to have to be a deadbeat. And that's not going to work for me either, because I don't want to be I don't want to have me and my reputation wrapped up with somebody who might be a deadbeat dad. That don't look good. That doesn't smell good. It's a bad look for me. I don't like the way that looks. I don't like the way that sounds. I don't like the way that feels. And that's a thing. Also, if you have children, that person that you had children with, I'm now tied into a storyline with them like I'm on Love and Hip Hop. I'm hoping that there's no drama, but if there is, now I could potentially be tied up with this person just because through my proximity to them through you. I don't like that. So having my reputation tied up in theirs is not just about losing the relationship and not knowing who I am. It's also being caught up in other people's drama that may not really have anything to do with me. You know, when you have a kid with somebody else, it really doesn't have anything to do with me. And that could be, compartmentalization. But if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, that could reflect on me negatively. And I don't like that. If you have a criminal record, I'm not necessarily interested in that anymore at this particular point in time. It's one thing when you're young and you might think being a bad boy is cute. I'm definitely well past that. That's a no pass go for me. Absolutely freaking not. You know what I mean? It's a no. And it's a no. So again, that's just an example. I don't want my reputation tied up into some mess that maybe I don't even need to be caught up in because this is not a permanent person. So that's another reason. I feel like I really went on a tangent with that. And because I have this fear of losing myself in love and romantic situations, I always have an exit strategy. And by always having an exit strategy, I mean, I have one or two or maybe even three. And especially as I get to know someone, it becomes easier to see, okay, this would be a cleaner exit than this, like making the clean exit, because I don't want any mess. I don't want any stress after the fact. I don't want you reaching out asking for more explanations. I like a clean, straightforward break so I can move on and you can move on. And I've dropped plenty of videos on breakups and discards. So if you want to check that out, I urge you to check out the playlist. I also understand that my emotional capacity is limited. So for me, I know how much emotionally I can take. I know how much anger and, temper tantrums and dysfunction I can take. And, I definitely have a threshold for that. But once you meet that threshold, you can't stay there very long for me. Because once I feel like, ooh, maybe they're testing my boundaries and seeing how far they can go, that's when we go back to the step before this one, which is going to one of those exit strategies and figuring out how I'm going to get out of this. And that goes back to waiting for the other shoe to drop and not wanting to be attached to someone, making somebody my everything and being tied up in their reputation and what they have going on in these streets. Because I don't want to get caught up in any mess. So knowing that my emotional capacity is limited and my capacity for drama and nonsense is limited, my capacity to have to regulate another person's emotions is very limited. Even when we're talking about being outside of romantic relationships, because I know that I always have these certain boundaries up and in place so that certain things cannot happen, so that I am not overwhelmed, so I'm not having to bring people into my life just to kick them out. I also don't want to be asked or required to be someone that I'm not. And that really gets into or falls into somebody trying to fix me. I don't need you to fix me. I don't need you. If I didn't meet you where you work and you were not my therapist, and this is not an unprofessional relationship at this point, and you're not crossing a boundary, if you're not crossing a professional boundary with me, I'm not asking you to be my therapist. How about that? So I don't need you to try to fix me. I don't need you to ask me to be anybody that I'm asked than you know me to be. Because one thing about me is I'm very upfront about my boundaries and what I will and won't do, and who I am and who I'm not. So I'm not a hugger. I'm not a hand holder. I'm not going to tell you I love you. If you ask me these things, even in a roundabout way, I'm not going to dance around it. I'm going to be very direct. I'm going to be very in your face about the fact that please do not touch me. Don't put your hands on me. Don't be grabbing me up. Don't be coming in for a hug. Okay? Don't be thinking that we're going to sleep together and you're going to be for real. Slow down. I might text you 2 times a week in the beginning, but more than that, for me to be texting you more than 2 times a week, I'm trying to think about that. I'm trying to think. You had to be a 10 out of 10 for me, and even then, what are we talking about? 3 days a week? And if I was talking to you more than that, you were reaching out to me too. You were reaching out more, and I'm just engaging in the conversation. Like, I had to like you a lot to do that. But even then, even if I liked you a whole lot, from personal experience, even if I like you a lot and that talking every day stuff, by the end of day 9 of talking to you every day, it doesn't matter if I think that you're a Greek god and you're the most intelligent person on the planet. I'm going to be worn out from talking to you every day. I'm going to run out of things to say. I'm going to run out of gas, and my personality is running on fumes. So I'm going to need you to do something else for a couple of days. I don't want to be going back into not wanting to be required to be someone I'm not. I can't do it. If you met me this way, this is how I'm going to be. This is why I'm a person that when people are saying, I need this person to change, they said they were going to change. They said they were going to change, but you accepted them how they were. So like, I guess you were cool with them being where they were at as long as they're working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So either you're working on it with me at my pace, or if this isn't, moving fast enough for you, the door is always unlocked. You know what I mean? You can always walk out the door. Another fear I had of losing myself is feeling trapped by commitment, as I'm talking about the door always being unlocked. I don't want to be trapped. I don't want to feel like I can't get out of a situation. This is why I'm not married. This is why I don't have any children, because I don't want to be caught in a situation with another person. I don't want to have to, because when you have children with somebody, and especially if you're not married, now you have to claim that person forever. And especially if they were a walking red flag, okay? You have to forever claim that walking red flag. You may have outgrown this person, and let me bring it back to me. I may have outgrown this person. And I'm totally embarrassed by the fact that I was kicking it with this person in the first place. Now I got a kid with them. I can't imagine how much more embarrassed I'm going to be when I grow and evolve. And now I got to tell people that's what I was doing 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Lord have mercy. He had mercy on me. That's why it didn't happen to me. And I make certain decisions. But like, that's like my worst fear. That is my worst fear. Is like being tied to the wrong person, marrying the wrong person, having children with the wrong person, and then forever being embarrassed by them and their decisions. Now, because then it won't just be me. Now it's my kids too. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And I couldn't do it. So for me, there's a lot of danger zones when it comes to being in love, and in the fear of losing myself and not being able to make good decisions, or having to consider somebody else's feelings and emotions over my own, and being caught up in a situation that I don't need to be caught up in, that really doesn't have anything to do with me, either because I'm removed from the situation or I'm removed from the situation. You know what I mean? So there's that. I always have an exit strategy or two or three on deck. I know my emotional capacity is limited. I feel smothered by affection. Oh, I totally forgot about that, but that's in itself. I don't want to be asked or required to be someone that I'm not, and I feel trapped by commitment. And family, thank you so much for tapping in with me today and this week. If you haven't tapped in with me Wednesday and Monday earlier in the week, please go back, like, share, and subscribe. Check out those videos, check out the playlist. Check out my other channel. Link is down below as well. Find me on Instagram. Reach out to me on my website if you want to speak to me about your situation with the dismissive avoidant in your life. Link is down below as well. And family, as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for appreciating my content. And I will be tapping in with you very soon. Keep it real.